our customers are just super cool, trendy, Diet Coke drinking, Target going moms. And, I love those girls, love them to death, baby. I love all of them.
I
So,
love I love that you said I love that you said Diet Coke because all right, everybody, welcome back to Stop Interviewing, Start Selling. I'm your host, Philip Meyer, and today I have someone that I am very excited to interview. This is Chad Hernandez. Chad is, if you look in the dictionary, you look up hustle, like you're going to see this guy's picture in the dictionary. If not today, then definitely tomorrow, because Chad, I mean, you were just telling me recently that you own 3 different businesses, right?
correct. At the moment, I have 3 with a couple more in the works as we're talking, but he just juggling, man. I'm a professional juggler. I'm a juggler.
For sure, man. Well, like I'll tell you something. I mean, from being like a B2B like sales rep like I am, going from business to business, walking in,
Totally.
seeing the stress on a business owner's face, especially now with like the pandemic and how like everything's going. To me, a business is like a living, breathing entity. It might as well be a child for all intents and purposes. So for you to say you have
Totally.
3 with more businesses on the way, like, do you ever sleep at all?
Dude, that's the thing. Like, I'm weird. 3 nights a week, I have to pull all nighters just because of manufacturing, just overseas, just how business hours go. But I got to get my naps in, my man. Whatever it takes. If you get an hour, 5 hours, 4 hours, whatever's going on, you got to do it. And sometimes you just gotta, just like you said, every business really is like a child, and some child are needier than others. Okay, and so sometimes you kind of have to be really good at prioritizing and making goals and communicating very, very, precisely. So the 3 businesses that I have right now are, I own a pest control business, so it's in the service industry. I own it's a children's headwear, like apparel business, which is more of like a digital type, the Instagram, Facebook. Do you have quite a bit of retailers as well, just the brand. And then I have a sports card de-stressor business, and those are the 3 that every single day are kicking my butt. But it keeps me going, and it keeps me pushing, it keeps me grinding, it keeps me hustling. But it all started back in 2009. Actually, it goes back to my mission for the LDS Church. I served a 2-year mission to Mexico City, and that's really where I learned how to work hard, or what the definition of work hard really was. And remember, missionaries, they're not paid, right? You're not paid a dime to be out there going from sun up to sundown every single day. And so coming home, I was blessed. I was lucky to actually transition into a sales door to door type of environment where, for people that don't know, in door to door sales, nobody likes their door knocked. Nobody likes to give, guys time of day that are bugging you during dinner or whatever, right? But in the door to door game, if you don't sell anything, you make 0. There's not a salary. There's not an hourly. It's you against the world.
Yeah.
And most times, people, that's scary. That can be scary to a lot of people, Philip. That could be,
Yep.
like very, very, very scary with whatever pandemic or whatever going on, right? But there's weirdos like me out there that love it. Like, you can truly control Nobody can tell you if you can make $1 or if you make $500,000 in a year. Nobody can control that to you when it's just you against the door. And you get better and you transition and you take your experience and your training and you just run with it and you learn and you grow, and some things work and some things don't, but it's all about progression and it's all about recovery. And that's one big aspect of that. And so from door to door, I started up in New York City, well, New York in 2009 for a company called Apex,
Mm-hmm.
which is obviously Vivint now, right?
Right.
And I was with doing alarms for about 4 years, every single summer, just pounding payment every single summer from Texas, New York, kind of all over the place. And I was getting ready to finish up my college, my college degree at the University of Utah at the time. And I had a buddy hit me up to look into pest control, just to look into it I wanted something residual, and I knew that I wanted to do something on my own, to actually start something for myself and for my future family and whatever. And so I really looked into it. Now, being an alarms guy, they train you, Phil, that you stay away from the bugs. There's not very much money in it. Why go sell something so much smaller when you could sell alarms and make so much more money? And that's true. In alarms, the dollar amounts per deal are a lot bigger. But the pest control game, it's a lot faster. It's a lot more relationship type deals, and they're quick and you can rip them out and you can get a lot done in a day, and they stack up and they add up. And so I started looking into it and I really liked it. The only thing I didn't quite know how to do, I didn't know the bug game. I didn't know chemicals. I didn't know how to spray. I didn't know how to hire employees. I didn't know the organization of scheduling and past dues and accounting and liability. And so I kind of needed some help there. So I found a guy out in Dallas, Texas, who's my brother to this day, who kind of mentored me and took me under his wing, and he helped me out, and he was going to teach me the ropes if I just came out for a summer to Dallas, Texas, and to sling some accounts for him. And so we did, and it was great. And after that summer, I really wanted to elevate my sales ability in the bug game, because I kind of learned all the organization. I learned all the bug game, how to run the business. Now, taking my prior experience in sales, but I want to do it the best. I'm a freak, Phil. If I got to do something, I want to be the best at it. And so I went out with, at the time, I was getting recruited by one of the fastest growing pest control companies in the whole world, and they still are. They're crushing it. Back then it was called Altera. They've changed their name a couple times, but great company, great guys. And I took on a role to run a team for them out in Sacramento, California, back in 2014, I believe, 2014. And then after that year in Sacramento, running the full nine, I knew I was ready to go out and branch out and start my own. And so 2015, we started it's called Premier Pest Control. It's here in St. George, Utah. We did a bunch of market research. Where do we think it's going to grow? Blah, blah, blah. And we ended up in St. George to start that baby. And I'm just talking for days, buddy. Do you have any questions about that?
No, you're good, man. I mean, there's a lot to kind of unpack there, because like one of my questions I have to you is, because in
Heck yeah.
the sales world, like we hear a lot about like other companies, and obviously we hear about like compensation plans of other companies and how much money people can make. One of the
Yeah.
comments that because those of you who are listening, who you don't know the relationship between me and Chad. So my wife is cousins with Chad's wife, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one comment that my wife made a long time ago is, she said, she goes, "Did you know that Chad spends like a whole summer just selling his butt off, and he flies back in first class. And I'm like, excuse me? I was like, what are you talking about? So
That's
one of my
hilarious.
questions is like, obviously the pest control market's big. It's like, I mean, the
Yeah.
alarm market's big too, but it definitely
Hmm.
takes a certain amount of like hustle that goes into it, right?
Oh,
So
dude, for sure.
my question to you is like, how did starting out as a door to door salesperson and learning that hustle, did any of that translate into running a business? What did you take from
Good
doing?
question. Yeah. So the transition from the alarms, right? I mean, door to door is such a, you got to be good with rejection. So many people come into the game like seeing big numbers, like you're talking about. I mean, there's guys that make millions of dollars in the summer. It's real. Like it's serious, right? But remember, like market matters, what you're selling matters, the team you're on matters, the people around you matter.
Yeah,
Everything, there's everything that goes into to who you are and what you're doing, right? And so especially in the bug game, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of controlling factors. What happens if technicians show up late? What happens if they're spraying wrong chemicals? What happens if they kill the dog, or who knows, right? There's a lot of factors that go into it. But
yeah,
was it a transition once I started running teams and once I started training on daily? That's something that the biggest focus is. I would get way more out of the success of seeing everybody succeed in the office and in the branch or the region, putting in deals, seeing somebody taking them from day one and seeing where they're at 4 years, 3 years out, them going to law school, them going to medical school, them going and doing all these things and funding it themselves based off the deals and the training that I gave them, right?
right.
Every single day, right? You're going to run into something that you didn't get before. Every single door is an opportunity. Every single street is an opportunity. You know, one line or you not looking at them right. Like it's a skill to literally knock somebody's door that had no idea that you were coming and be able to get a credit card within 5 minutes.
Yeah,
There is a lot. People don't know how hard that really is, or the
yeah,
mental, right? The psyche of getting no and no and no and yelled at and spit on, or I'm watching a game, or I'm eating dinner, or I've told you 14 times to come, like, right? And it's not so much, you're not some, you don't have the golden tongue, you don't have to be this Rico Suave guy that, I mean, it's bug spray, right? If they somebody truly needed it, right, they would have called if it was that bad. So really, you're selling an opportunity, and if people like you, right, if you know how to, if you understand people, they're going to buy from you, right?
yeah,
Especially if they feel it's a great deal. And so that's the thing that we would teach, right? Every single day, it's all about just who you are when nobody's looking, who you want to be today. It doesn't matter what you did yesterday. It doesn't matter what you did a year ago or 5 years ago. Today, if you want to crush it, you really can. There's nobody. We're going to give you all the skills that you can, that you need to do it, and you get to physically do it. No one else is going to do it for you. No one else is going to put deals in your name. You are the guy that would, of all the places in the world, that's the street you get. And these guys are lucky because in 5, 10, 20 years, okay, they're going to be sending you wedding gifts, and they're going to be the ones saying that you knocked their door as a bug salesman, and look at you now. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
so that's literally, and the skills in that, and the training, and from just the nonverbal communication, there's so many things that we would teach and preach from, just even the voice of our, like, like everything, like every head movements, head nods, eye contact, voice, and it's just so much little things that just make big things happen. And so there's so many skills, and the skills in that game, once we started slinging, I think in Sacramento we did like total rep. I mean, in that one summer we had to generate over $3 million, I'd say, in new business,
Wow.
and in a 4-month span on a $400 agreement. So imagine how many agreements we'd have to sell, right? And there's a lot of no's, but there's also a lot of yeses. And so you're not looking to sell every single person. It's not, oh, look at me, I have the best closing it's not. Nobody cares how. It's what you want to do, how hard you're willing to go, what you're willing to put in. Are you coming in at 5 a.m. to train on your first 30 seconds, on your intro, on your closes, there's just so much that goes into it. It's like an NFL season. That's how we look at it. Every week you have a 16-week season, right? And all the NFL players, they make that money during the NFL season. Doesn't really matter what they do in the off season. They're still putting in work. They're still training. They're still doing everything else. But when it comes down to the business, when it comes down to the season, how serious are they? And that's, you really truly get whatever you put into it is what you get out of it. And so transitioning and doing all these millions of dollars in revenue, we just knew like it didn't really matter what we were selling, but it did matter like we should probably do it for ourselves now, right? Instead of doing it for another company. And so that's what we did. And it's a lot easier to learn the organization and how to spray a house rather than to sell, right? If you can sell anything, it doesn't really, all that other stuff is gimmicky. You can learn it, you can hire it, but if you have a crew or what guys or a dude that's just willing to be a dog and just get after it, and he's just closing, it's worth every penny in the book to just keep it going. And so that's kind of what we did and how we started, and that's where we started. And we still have it here. It's still going great. And hiring, the guys I have are family, man. It's family, and there's you learn so much about, especially running a business. Sales is the most important factor into any part of any business. It doesn't really matter what it is. If you can sell, the business is going to be successful if you're not dumb, right? If it's for the right people, for the right cause, and people are willing. But what other questions do you have about in that?
Yeah, so that's actually another part of the question is because you've had a unique experience of being a salesperson and having the perspective of a salesperson for the growth of the company. Because like a lot of times it's funny because I feel like I see this on LinkedIn all the time, right, from like motivational speakers, right? Like motivation is in the name of their title. And a lot of times with salespeople, you find that there's two motivating factors that lead somebody to be good at sales, or at least that I found, right? Number one is accolades, right? So like recognition, like you're doing this, you get this trophy, you get this spiff or whatever, or like perk. Number two is money, right? Because you have to have commission, you have to have your nut. But from an owner's perspective, being in the same industry, it's a totally different motivation, right? So I'm curious to know from you, do you find that your motivation is different as an owner than you were back when you were a sales rep? And how do you then relay that to your sales reps that this is the motivation behind what I'm teaching you? Does that make sense?
To be no, 100%. Honestly, now it's to the point where there's way more motivation for me personally in seeing a salesman or seeing people that are hired even as techs, right? Teaching people how to it doesn't matter what you're selling something, right? It doesn't really matter if they put a logo on their shirt, they're selling that brand, right? Like if they're speaking or whatever they're doing, they're putting their name to it, right? I get so much more out of seeing my guys and girls and employees like doing things, being successful, like in their personal lives, right? Seeing where they were to like where they're going and the things that are going on. And like in our industry, we recruit a lot of college kids to come out and knock doors in the summer. That's the industry, right? Because there's a lot of money. The average guy that finishes the summer in pest control, it's somewhere probably between, for a college kid, that's a lot of money, somewhere between like $15,000 and $35,000, right? For in the summer. That's a lot of money for a college kid, especially when, if they're, I didn't have an option. Like I had to pay all my schooling. I had to make it, if I couldn't afford to go to school, I couldn't go. And so that wasn't an option for me. I'm going to figure out how to sell the right way, make people happy. And And I just kind of took all the things I've learned, and all over, every state's different, every branch is different. But as a business owner, I'm way more motivated by keeping everybody motivated and hitting their personal goals. Goals are a real thing, man. You got to be goal oriented. You got to have, I mean, anybody can, just show up, right? But if you have that work ethic and they're in line with personal goals, it doesn't matter if you're the paper shredder, right? Like, how much paper are we shredding per week? How can we do better? How can we do better? What's going on in our lives that's affecting our performance? That's affecting our physical, our mental, like everything that goes hand in hand with success, right? A lot of people, oh, it's all about revenue, and don't get me wrong, revenue is a big indicator of a lot of little things that are going right, right? And the little things are the people that are doing it. The people, everybody, right, has a say, and everybody has a place in that revenue, regardless if you're the closer, the setter, the paper shredder, right? Like, everything goes into that. And so I'm way more motivated by seeing everybody else succeed and be happy. But yeah, that's to answer your question. But
Yeah. So like on that too, do you find that I just lost my train of thought. Since I have my phone, like I'm trying to not look at my phone notes because I don't want you to think I'm checking my text message or anything.
no,
I always
bro,
try to remind myself
ask me anything.
podcast. So so when you like as an owner though, I mean you probably have the ability to not just relay your perspective back to your salespeople, but how do you train your salespeople to be great at what they do? And is there anything that you wish that you had known as a sales rep that you now teach your sales team?
I think, especially in sales or in general, right? Like, I think one thing that I've noticed, especially being a business owner, right? The more that I care, right? The more be hands-on, the more like I truly care about what's they're doing, right? A lot of people, they have their job, they do it, and that's awesome. And owners, if they're there, that's great. If they're not, but the more that involved, the more the owners check, not just like, hey, what? No, I mean like physically, like, hey, how? Just little things, right? Like, the more involved I am in the day to day, right? I will never have a salesman or any employee, and you can ask them, like, when they think of me as the owner, right? As the business owner, what would they say about me? They would probably say I'm a freak, and nobody outworks me. That when they show up, I'm there. When they leave, I'm there. It doesn't really matter. Like, hey, like, how did you know? Like, how many doors? Like, what doors did you know? Let's go back over there. Like, they'll think I'm crazy, right? But it's the little things that help them. And if they feel, the more that they feel I actually truly care, because I do. Like, I don't like I want everybody to succeed. And if I didn't give them the proper tools and training, right? Let's get them trained up. Like, it doesn't really matter what else is going on. I'm not going to send somebody out there that's not prepared and that has to build their own book. The book's already been written, right? Now they can tweak it. Times change. And if they're doing things better, great. And I want them to tweak it and change and to progress. But if they don't have the proper technique, if they don't have the proper things to be able to build on their own, that's not okay. And so I don't ever want to throw somebody, it's like running down the street naked. That's just an awkward feeling. Nobody ever wants to do that. And so you want to make sure that they got they're clothed up and they're ready to go to war, right? But yeah, as far as training goes, training is everything. And if it's just me being there, and that's why it's fun to see these kids come in from day one in the door-to-door space. Or I have wholesale directors, and now I have salespeople that sell hats, right? To retailers, and now we do it online, right?
Yeah.
Obviously that's a little bit different because the internet sells it, but I never ever want to put anyone in a situation where they couldn't thrive, or I didn't give them the proper techniques or training. So when they think back of their training or what they were selling or what they were doing, they're going to know like, hey, it was, I give them personal motivation. I give them spiffs. I give them quarterly. They need goals. They need things that are going to physically push them to achieve greatness, to achieve better than what they did last quarter, to achieve more than what they did last year. More money. If it's a trip, what are your priorities? Truly getting to know who they are and like the things that they want to do in life outside of work, not so much inside of work, but like, what do they want to do? Oh, I want to get in shape and run an Ironman. Okay, well, I'm gonna sign this up for the Ironman. Let's do it together, right? Ironman's $800. Let's get X amount of sit downs, or let's close blah blah blah. We need to get you a new bike, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it takes, man. And most people are like, dude, that is just crazy, but it's fun. And I mean, luckily, blessed, I can say I've lost like 2 employees ever. And so most people, they're lifers, man, because they truly feel like I care so much about them, their family, everything they got going on, because I do. I don't, who represents us and how they represent us means everything to me, way more than, revenue and money. If I can't keep my own people happy, how can I keep my customers happy?
Yeah.
And so
that's such an important thing
me.
too, because I know from having been a business to business rep for the majority of my career now, it's interesting because if I ask people like what's your average turnover rate like are we going to have to be outfitting people in uniforms every single week or every single month, like how does that work? There's there's more and more companies that I think are really trying what you've been so great at doing, and that's keeping people on board. And I feel like maybe that comes from not just being a great person, because of the interactions that I've had with you, like I know that to be true. But the second thing is, I think coming from that sales background, like people stay when they're happy and they feel appreciated, right?
100%, dude. And when they're building something great, when they feel like they took part in something that was hitting that next level, or hitting things that haven't been hit before, they take pride in that. And that's not the the company, cool on paper, they did, but no, if every person feels like if they're the paper shredder down to the dude taking the trash out, that's theirs to claim just as much as anybody else. It's not that. I tell my guys all the time, like, each business is like a circle table, right? There's only so much we can do as a business. It doesn't matter what industry it is, it doesn't matter what it is, right? But we can only be as great as whoever's sitting on that table. I'm one guy. What can one guy physically do? It doesn't matter about if you just throw money at it. It doesn't matter. You got to have others and other great people and other great brains and people that even if you should need to enjoy them, right? The more that you are associated and the people as great as are sitting at each table, that's as great as your company could be. And so I just really, truly try. I mean, I'm weird and I know you're into fighting, but this year alone, we've been to, every UFC event because my guys are really into UFC. And so, ever since, every big event, a lot of times, I've truly gone to UFC because of my guys. They love it. I have guys that train still. And awesome. Like when they tell all their people, like, yeah, my boss, we're sitting VIP at the Masvidal Usman fight, or we're going to Houston to watch Michael Chandler against Charlie Oliveira. We're going to all the events. Like, dude, is there you got any job openings? Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
I don't lose very many guys, right? And so, but they feel important. They hit their goals. They hit their numbers. If they're not, we physically sit down. Like, what do we got to do? I'll come in. I'll be there. You tell me 3 a.m. I'm there. Let's do it. Whatever it takes. If I got to go out on the doors, if we need to go out to that warehouse or that business, or let's go get it done together and show you how it's done. so you can see it, make it better, and run with it and teach it to the next person. And so
Yeah.
those are big things. I don't know. But what other good questions, Phil?
So then you've taken that same work ethic, that same business acumen, and you've created a whole nother company known as Cash and Co, right? Which is the hat company that we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah. So once we started getting employees, we call it swag. So a lot of these college kids that we recruit, you kind of have to have the shirts and the jackets and the hats
Yep.
and all, to keep them coming, to keep pride, to rock it at the schools that they're at. And so
So
we kind of
important.
got pretty better at designing things. And we, my wife and I, we met actually in Hawaii, going to college, BYU Hawaii. And so Hawaii's somewhere like near and dear to our hearts. And so we try to go back as much as we can. And back in 2017, I started looking around. We're going on a trip, and I have two little boys. One's name's Camden, and one's name is Cash, and I have a little girl named Haven. But I'm a big baseball guy back from Sacramento, California, and I've always just had hats, and I really wanted to get some hats for our trip, for an upcoming trip to Hawaii. And I told my wife that, I was searching, I couldn't find anything. And I told her I was going to make one, and she said I couldn't do it. And that's literally where the whole Cash and Co. It wasn't supposed to be a business. It wasn't intended to be like anything bigger than the bug game. But we made a couple hats, man, and it's just one of those viral type Instagrammer influencer things. And I mean, and we launched. I mean, we had no followers at the time, but we started getting all these people requesting to make a couple hats that we took a couple pictures of. And after some stores wanting some, we like, maybe we should start a business. And so we launched April 1st of 18, and we sold out of everything within minutes of our first launch date. And since then, I think so it's been a little over 3 years. I think we're coming up on our fourth year, and it's man, it's grown so much. I mean, I want to say we've sent over 60,000 orders so far in the last, I mean, it's been 3 years, right? But orders, like, and they're not like one, I mean, orders could be 100 hats. It could be, I mean, we sent to, I think, like 39 countries so far. We
That's
have hundreds of retailers that sell our products in the world, right? Um, it's a children's headwear company, and it's just, and now we get to kind of handpick who we do like exclusive drops with. Like, we've worked with some athletes and celebrities, and it's so much fun, man. But me and my wife, we get to design everything. Everything we make has like a story based around our kids' lives, and it's just a lot of fun to do that together. But and juggling, so I'm lucky because so I have warehouse where all our fulfillment is done here in St. George as well, and so I have warehouses that are next door to each other, literally, and so that really helps when I can just walk back and forth.
yeah,
Like,
for
what's
sure.
going on, or text me. I'll be there in 20 seconds. Walk to the other way. You know what I mean? And so it's
Yeah,
really nice when things come up. And some days I just have to juggle. And some days I got to put out fires here or there, or vehicles go down, or things always happen as a business owner. Things always happen, and so you truly learn how to prioritize and how to delegate, and who you can depend on and who's responsible and who's not, and you just go with it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But yeah, so we started Cash and Co, and it's going really good. It's going really good. We're transitioning that into a like a swimsuit surf type brand, and we just are growing every single month, every single day, and we are sending hundreds of orders. I mean, it should start here in a couple hours, and every single day we just have orders just getting pumped out. It's crazy, man. It's a fun. We're blessed and lucky, and all our customers are just super cool. trendy Diet Coke drinking, Target going moms. And I love those girls, love them to death, baby. I love all of them.
I
So
love I love that you said I love that you said Diet Coke because that's what my mom drinks all the time, and it
oh,
makes
dude,
perfect sense.
100%, dude.
That's
It's
hilarious.
I'm all about my Lululemon wearing, Diet Coke drinking, Target moms, bro.
For sure.
So
So with Cash and Co, I was just looking up your Instagram page, and you're saying that you started like 3 years ago, right?
we dropped, yeah, April 1st of 2018.
Yeah. So in 3 years, you've amassed on Instagram 121,000 followers, which is that's not a small number by any means, especially in 3 years, right? Now you also mentioned that you deal
Yeah.
with like you handpick like the specialized like custom stuff. Are you allowed to name any
Mhm.
people that you've worked with, like a celebrity or?
Yeah. So, we've done drop last year. For Mike Trout. He's a baseball guy for the
Yeah.
Angels. He had a son last year. We were just featured on the last episode of the Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Were you really?
They just had their they just had their last episode. It was like their last episode forever, and
Wow.
we had a little thing there. We were working with a lot of. I'm trying to think of people bigger than that than the Kardashians
Yeah,
and
there's not
Mike
many.
Trout.
Not many.
A lot of baseball, tons of baseball, just because baseball players wear hats, and so the wives are I think our very, very first baseball player, but I was so pumped about when we literally just started, because I'm from Sacramento as a Giants fan, Brandon Crawford. I was stoked about that
Oh
guy.
wow.
He's
Yeah.
the shortstop for the Giants, but
Yep.
he's having a pretty good year this year, but being a Giants guy. And so I was pumped about that one. But I mean, every single day we're working. I mean, if it's bloggers or big influencers or, it's kind of, honestly, there's so many. We have like a team dedicated to just running like our social. I mean, we probably get, I don't know, like 200 DMs every single day from if it's stylists or if it's, big influencers or just, people just wanting to do a collab is what they're called. But every single day, so yeah, you see 120,000 followers, but that's not including, we have VIP groups, there's a buy sell trade group. We have text subscribers, email subscribers. We're probably somewhere, if you add up, probably like 250,000 people, I'd say, that are kind of in our bubble. And
Yeah.
luckily, when we put out a product, it's gone pretty fast. It's all about the hype. It's all about the launch. It's all about how you sell it online and how you like sell it with all of your stores and all your other retailers together. Something that we do that a lot of brands don't do. So when you see something new come out on any shop, right, or a brand, they'll launch it first, and then they'll allow wholesalers like someone else to sell it later. So something that why we have a wait list, and we're pretty strict on who we allow to sell our brand
Yeah.
in the country or anywhere in the world. And so what we do is we let them actually sell it first. And so it helped with COVID, especially like a lot of stores and shops, like, that have been around for 30 years, shops that are huge, huge, huge in the country.
Yep.
Anything that we could think of as a team, our team decided like maybe we should let shops launch things before us and do territorial launches. Like if they're in Florida, like something Gators, you know what I mean? A lot of people that are in Louisiana that are, big Tiger fans probably aren't going to buy Gators. And so we started, trying to do things to help out the shops. But one big thing that really helped was allowing them to sell anything first, right? Because typically once it hits our site, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's all those people and all those Diet Coke lovers just fight. Whoever can get it first. But yeah, it's totally different from the
Yeah.
service from like the pest control game, and then that kind of transitioned over to the card game, that's a crazy getting a lot of people don't know about sports cards and the
Yeah.
blow up it's
So let's talk
about
about that
that.
because like I know like when you and I talked last about this, I was like because of course like as a kid like I heard about like baseball cards, football cards, trading cards, like rookie cards and all
Yeah.
that stuff. It's become almost like currency, almost like an investment now. Because like I
Oh,
just
100%.
watched an episode of what was it called? I think it was called Two Bears One Cave, and they had a I forget his name. They had like a player from the Pittsburgh Steelers on the show, and he was
Uh-huh.
talking about how he got really into it as well, and that's kind of been like his like investment idea. And he made a comment. He said that he's made more money trading cards than he has in his tenure with the NFL. And I'm like, hold on, like so
Yeah.
obviously being from Sacramento, California, like you've been a sports fan your whole life, right?
Oh, for sure.
So I mean, does
Go
that
Kings, baby. Go Kings.
so would you say that that's kind of like the reason you got into it, or how did
So
you
I've
how did you
always,
find out
I
about
mean, especially like Phil, we're like around the same age. Growing up, like cards was a thing, man. Right? You trade card. I mean, back before it was like Pogs.
it?
Man, I don't know if you remember the Pogs. And then we were trading cards. I remember in fourth, fifth grade, man, we were taking our sports cards every single day to school. And that was back in the heyday, man. That was Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
That was Kobe Bryant. That's where
Scottie
some of the
Pippen.
greats, yeah, a ton of the greats, I mean, in that era. And so I'm not sure. Gary Vee, he's like a huge,
Mm-hmm.
big entrepreneur name, but he started kind of analyzing and seeing like things back in when we were kids. A lot of dads, like shoe flippers or just younger generation, they're getting into like it's coming back because we're having kids now. And so, especially when it's like a boom, when it's harder to get cards, things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Back in our day, you had all these different card companies, Upper Deck, Don Rock, you had all these different card companies that can make cards, but now it's not like that. And so there's a monopoly. Like for basketball, for example, like Panini's the only company that can show cards that have, the actual team logos. And so they have the monopoly on cards. And so what happens is they're different tiers on purpose, and they can really put whatever price they want because it's, they don't reprint rookie cards, as if that makes any sense. And so
Yeah.
they are totally investments in a lot of how basketball's going, the technology with Twitter and countries being able to follow their favorite player, right? It's turning, as you can tell, like in the Olympics, our basketball team's not as dominant as we used to be because all these other countries are stepping up their game. And so
Yeah.
all these other countries, billionaires and millionaires, they want their kid's favorite rookie card, Luka Doncic or the Greek Freak, and all these cards, right? The values are just, it's really what someone's willing to pay. If you get them graded, right? You get cards graded, and some of these deals are, I mean, a Patrick Mahomes, right? They think he could be. How long has Patrick Mahomes played football? He got what? He was rookie in 2017. He hasn't been in the league like crazy. Well, his
Yeah.
rookie card just sold last week for $4.3 million.
Yeah,
Right.
I was just
And
gonna say, I
so,
just saw that, and I was like, for a guy that's only been a Super Bowl champion once and has gone
yeah,
twice, I'm like, that's a gigantic number
yeah,
for some. Because I mean,
totally.
imagine somebody gets a hold of like Tom Brady's rookie card. Like, I mean, we're
Yeah,
talking about arguably the GOAT. Actually, it's not even arguably anymore. He's pretty much the GOAT at this point,
he
right?
is the GOAT. And
Yeah.
weirdly, his cards still aren't like they're still millions of dollars, but they're not Patty Mahomes. What's that saying? Well, the new generation of players,
Yeah.
our values are higher because of the future. They think they're instead of stock
Um,
market, instead of putting their money into real estate, instead of putting money, they're putting it into these little pieces of plastic that are
right.
art, right? And that's my guy. And they go big on these players thinking in 10, 20, 30 years, what's that guy's rookie card? That's the best graded rookie. That's the one of one, or what's that going to be worth, right? Where are
Right.
cards going? What's happening in the world? Like, is there going to, and so that's kind of the play. And so ever since that happened, a lot of hedge funds, VC, like New York, LA, they started these new companies where, I mean, not that many people can afford $1 million cards. There's tons of them, right? From firsthand experience, and there are cash deals at these big shows. Nationals is just this week in Chicago. I mean, a lot of these big financial firms to like diversify portfolios of their clients. They don't want to pay gains. They don't want to pay 50% property tax gains. They don't want to have to pay on their stock gain. They go to shows and they're buying these graded cards in cash.
Wow.
Okay. And they're flipping cards in cash and not having to pay the taxes on it. But anyways, well, you should pay taxes on it, but
right.
Some people aren't. Some people aren't. But yeah, the card market's just blown up. Now you can buy stock. I think Kevin Durant, I mean Jay-Z, they just bought $500 million worth of. You can buy stock into cards now, and so all these new businesses. Yeah, it's getting crazier and crazier.
So here's kind of my question to you about that too, because like as a sports fan myself, and I'm just going to use Brady as like the example because he's a perfect example of this. But Brady was picked number 121 in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So
he was like, yeah, it wasn't like a 5th round pick or something like that.
It was like something crazy, right? Niners were supposed to take him. Great job, Niners. Anyways, did the same thing with Aaron Rodgers, by the way, when he was a rookie, just killing it. San Francisco, amazing. But my point in that is like, how do you predict? Like, let's say that you were to look at Brady, or better yet, let's say that you were to look at Aaron Rodgers at the draft versus Alex Smith, who was the number 1 pick overall that year, right?
Totally.
You would probably purchase Alex Smith's rookie card with the intention that fast forward 10 or 15 years, this guy's got multiple rings. He's a Hall of Famer, what have you, when in reality, it's actually Aaron Rodgers that's going to be the man, right? Compared to Alex Smith. So like the risk versus the reward. What's your take on that? Like,
that's a good question. So the big risk really is it worth buying a $5,000 box of cards that has 7 cards inside, hoping to get the Tom Brady or the Aaron Rodgers or the Alex Smith rookie card, right? And so the boxes of cards, since there's a monopoly on it and they get to set the price, right? The prices off these cards, like if there's only 50 of them, right? These boxes prices are so outrageous. Yeah. So that's what sucked me into it, man. That's the real gamble. Now, if you're going to go off, it's hard to ever know who's going to pan out, because especially football, because there's a lot of injuries, right. And it's you're not going to, most of the real money's in quarterbacks. It's not in running backs anymore. It's not in receivers. It's really just quarterbacks. But basketball is way different, and basketball's the king. Basketball's besides vintage baseball, like the Mickey Mantles and the 50 cards and 40, the older cards. If you have a storage unit and you're listening to this and you have a storage unit full of cards, call Philip, okay? And he'll call me, or you call me. I'm interested, okay? I'm interested. Sure. We've been buying up storage units all over the country that have cards you don't even know, but some really pan out. And so some people just sit on, I have cards in the basement. Like, they have no idea that they might have a card that's, $10,000, $20,000, $100,000, $50,000, $1 million, right? Yep. And so that's the biggest thing, is the knowledge, right? Knowing that the card game is back, and it's back with vengeance. And whatever money you thought they were worth back in the 90s, okay, it's times 100 now, right? Especially when people get into the Hall of Fame. Kobe Bryant, his death, him and getting the Hall of Fame. What do you think happened on his cards? Ridiculous, right? And every single year, there's a Hall of Fame class that gets in, this summer, I think for football, it's Peyton Manning. What do you think are going to happen with Peyton Manning cards? Derek Jeter, baseball this year, right? Every single year there's a Hall of Fame class. So if you're smart, if you want the ends, guys, start buying up a year in advance of who you think's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Okay. Get the best cards you can, get them graded. The 10s are the big money. And so now it's harder to get 10s now more than ever because there's a lot of card grading companies. But if you ever need to sell your cards, I'm your guy. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of card shops. Been doing this for a little bit now, running with some big sharks. And I mean, 7-figure deals, cash. Like it's so weird. We had people.
Yeah.
We had a person fly from Sweden to hand deliver a one-of-one card, and it's just you have translators, people coming in from all over Asia, coming in from all over, like having translators to work these deals out. Like, and the banks think you're crazy. Like, did you just give him like $100,000 and like for what? Did he? It's for a card. Like
For a card.
This is scary. Is this real?
Yeah.
This is real. It's all good. This is not. This is the real thing. And so it's
you having a business that deals specifically with the purchasing and the reselling of those cards. Like I was curious about this. In fact, Elise will tell you if you ever talk to her. Like on our way home from Freddy's where we talked to you guys, I was sitting there going, I wonder how much money is really in that. Like I just kept on thinking about it. So like I'm curious, like how do you run a business through just trading cards? Is it just like you buy and sell? Like I mean, profit margin.
Yeah.
If you were to sell like a Patrick Mahomes card for $4.2 million,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's
so
your percentage on that?
So if I'm gonna broker a deal, typically I'm gonna get. Well, it depends on if it's a cash deal or not,
Right.
but typically around 10%.
Okay.
Typically around 10%. And so now the thing is getting those cards costs a ton of money, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so the thing is it's kind of like real estate, man. It really is like real estate. You got to stay ahead, right? Who's hitting, like rookies, because all that matters is rookie cards. It doesn't matter about veterans. Veterans are cool, but the real money's in rookies. And so every single, like if you think somebody's the guy and you're taking risks, right? Typically guys will pick 3 of the lottery. Like in the lottery is the first 13 picks or whatever it is for basketball. Pick your 3 that you think are going to be the best, and you just buy everything, knowing that you're not going to sell them you got to give it at least 3 years, right? Luka Doncic, great example. Luka Doncic right now, right? 2008, he's a rookie, 2018. Trae Young. So my first deal of this year, Trae Young, and obviously look at Trae Young. I'm kicking myself that I sold some of these cards because now, Trae Young, it's called a mojo. It's out of 25. There's only 25 of these rookies made of Trae Young. I pulled it out of a box. The box at the time was $1,500. Okay. At that time, I thought that was like, oh my gosh. Now that same box is like 3,000, I think. But because they don't remake rookie cards, remember? So like whatever you get's what you get. And so they're called Panini Prism basketball cards. I pulled the Trae Young mojo. I pulled the Luka, just a base rookie. But I got that Trae Young graded, and it came back a 10. So, and it was the only 10 in existence. There's only 25 of these cards to start with, but to have a 10, I got to pick whatever price I wanted or what anyone was willing to pay. And it was still early on. It was before, he wasn't. So I sold that card back in January for $27,000 in cash. And then that from there, I'm kicking myself now because I think that card's it keeps going up and up and up and up, and he killed it in the playoffs. And so people kind of trade cards kind of like day-to-day traders. Like whoever had a good game that night, you're flipping cards that didn't get graded or cards that weren't in good enough condition. And so every night you have, oh, this guy popped off, you either put on eBay there's Facebook card groups where they just go in seconds, especially if you have a rep and people know you and you're trusted. They just sell like crazy. It's the weirdest, funnest, most de-stressful thing when you're just going to these shows and seeing like what cards you're going for. But is there money in it? I mean, my man, like there's huge money in it. I mean, huge money, but you have to be prepared and you have to be year in advance. If you buy a card for $4 million and you flip that, and I mean, those type of cards, it's really what anyone's willing to pay for it. And if somebody's willing to pay more, great. But when you buy it or pull that card and wait 3 years, get it graded as a 10 and sell it for $4 million, you cashed out fat. You're making stacks, right? And so it's really what's available. Is there like, I mean, these card shops have, I mean, so many card shops have just, you can't buy cards anywhere. If you go to Walmart, Target, like you can't even buy them. They're gone. And so it's just so hard to even find, let alone pull some crazy card that everybody wants, right? But literally anybody, it's like gambling almost. It's we call like the golden ticket. It really is like Willy Wonka. Like you open a box, it doesn't really matter if you're a billionaire, if you're a millionaire, if you have nothing. If you pull that card, you made it, man. Like, you know what I mean? And so that thrill of pulling your favorite player or pulling the guy you're going after, or, you know, a lot of people are going after the quarterbacks. A lot of people are going after, I mean, baseball by far has the most baseball collectors in history just because it's America's pastime. Baseball invented the game, right? Baseball cards. And so there's so many. But Pokemon, like Pokemon cards, Magic cards. I mean,
all that's making a comeback. Like I remember back when I used to have like Pokemon cards, like I bought a my mom thought I was crazy. Like I bought a back then we called them like a foil card because it had like the holographic image in the back. Like I went to a card shop and I bought a foiled
Charizard.
Alakazam. No, not Charizard. Alakazam for like $70. I should have kept it. I have no idea where it went. Like it's completely gone, right? But back then everybody was saying like
it was a first edition?
Oh, I have no idea. Like
I'm sure it was. What, like, I'll tell you how much that card is right now.
Yeah, you're gonna make me cry now if I find out it's worth a lot. But
Alakazam first edition holo. So a PSA. So it's first edition was 1999. The foil, it means like it's called a holo.
Yeah.
Okay. First edition holo. If it's for a 10, the last 10 sold for $9,000.
Oh, see, that breaks my heart, man. Wasn't it? What's his name? Who just fought Floyd? Jake Paul came out with like a Charizard around his neck, is like $1 million or whatever.
Charizard first edition, dude. That's like, And I'm not even like a nerd. Like my boys love Pokemon, and so I do a lot of deals because just to get them more Pokemon. But yeah, I mean, first edition Charizard PSA 10. I saw one guy, he's out of LA. He traded like some of his best cards, like Kobe Bryant, LeBron rookie, like refractor. It was $1 million trade, and he gave up like $250,000 in cash to get that same card, Charizard, first edition holo.
Yeah, it's crazy.
$1 million, bro. It's real.
I mean,
it's real.
Yeah, dude. I mean, if they're gonna pay for it, then dude, it's
a lizard, man. Lizard, they can't get hurt. They don't getting tackled by anybody. They don't have to put up any stats. It is not. If you look at the history of Pokemon cards, are still going up like crazy. So I actually just picked up some first edition, not Charizards, but I mean I have like Pikachu and just a lot of Charizards that my boys love, and my wife's always like, "What the heck are you doing?" Like, well, it will pay for their college. All this.
Yeah, there you go.
It will pay for their college already, and so Imagine what it's going to be in 15 years. And because Asia and cards is just crazy. It just is crazy, crazy. And
Yeah.
so, and there's a ton of billionaires that are just throwing money, and it just makes all the prices go up. I mean, it's fun, but that's my life, brother.
Yeah.
That's my life. I'm a sales gimmick. I'm all about sales. I'm all about learning your role. Whatever it is that you're doing, man, like anybody can do anything.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to be the smoothest guy. If you just are outworking the guy next to you, if you really want it bad, if you really want it better than anybody else and you're willing to put in the time, dude, you can do anything. Anything's possible if you believe, man. Anything. It doesn't matter what it is.
100%.
It doesn't matter. You can do it, man. Like anything's possible. And it's just fun to see people. I mean, there's so much money to be made in everything.
Yeah.
In everything. And so it's just, what you're willing to do and how bad do you want it. Anybody can start a business. Anybody can start 100 businesses, right? But what you get out of it and what you want to get out of it, what you take from it, that's up to, if you want to have just a small business every big business that you can think of, and we think of big businesses, they started just like you, just like me, just like everybody else. And it's not that, oh, they were lucky. Like, I don't believe in that, man. It's all about just preparation, hard work, and opportunity.
Yeah.
If you have all those things come together, it's hard to not be successful. And so that's just every day is a new day. It doesn't really matter what you did yesterday or last year or last week. Every single day, the people that are just consistent, right? People that are still grinding, it doesn't, you'll find success if you just, stick to that.
100%. I think that's a great place to end it too. Chad, you've been an amazing guest. I want to say thank you again for jumping on the show. I really appreciate it. Where can people find info about your company? Like what's your Instagram? Do you have LinkedIn? Where can people
So our Cash & Co, I think it's just, if you just Google Cash & Co, I'm sure you'll see like children's headwear. You can just go Cash & Co. If you can find me personally, my name's Chad Hernandez. I'm not the best LinkedIn guy. I'll be honest. I have somebody that's actually dedicated to like checking my stuff for me. So, but if you wouldn't need to reach me or follow me or whatever, like I think my name is on Instagram. I think it's like Chadley2 is my screen name on Instagram. You can ask Phil. You can hit me up. I'm all about helping anybody, man. I'm all over the place this week. Last week I was in Dallas, Chicago. We flew out to Hawaii on Friday. I'm kind of all over helping everybody, but I'm always down to me. Everybody has a story to be told, and you just never know how your book ends. And if I can be a part or help you and anyone that's listening in any way, I'm your guy. I love it. I believe in it. And I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't have help or mentors or anything along the way. We're all in this together, I feel. So Let's go.
Let's go. Let's do it. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much again for listening to Stop Interviewing, Start Selling. I'm your host, Philip Meyer. This is Chad Hernandez. Guys, thank you so much.
Buddy.
And tune in next week. We'll have some other guests on.
See you guys.